श्रीमद His Divine Grace is Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON founder Acharya, beauty founder Acharya, savior of the whole world. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramhamsa Parivrajaka Acharya Ashtotter Shrimad His Divine Grace is Bhaktivedanta Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय. ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की जय. नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय. पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय. गंगा मैया यमुना मैया की जय. भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय. सामवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. पतित पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय. श्री श्री रुक्मिणी द्वारकाधीश की जय. श्री श्री रुक्मिणी द्वारकानाथ की जय. श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय. श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय. शील प्रभुपाद की जय. शील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जय. निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavatir Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3rd, Chapter 16, Jaya and Vijaya, cursed by the sages, Text 25. Yam vanayordamamadhisha bhavan vidhatte vrittim nuvatadanumanmahi nirvyalikam अस्मासु वा य उचितो ध्रियतां सदण्डो येनागसौ वयमयुङ्क्षहि किल्बिषेण यं वानयोर्दममधीश भवान् विधत्ते वृत्तिं नुवातदनुमन्महि निर्व्यलीकम् अस्मासु वा य उचितो ध्रियतां सदण्डो येनागसौ वयमयुङ्गक्ष्मिः किल्बिषेण यं वानयोर्दममधीश भवान् विधत्ते वृत्तिं नुवातदनुमन्महि निर्व्यलीकम् अस्मासु वा य उचितो ध्रियतां सदण्डो येनागसौ वयमयुङ्गक्ष्महि किल्बिषेण अस्मासु वाय उचितो ध्रियतां सदण्डो येनागसो वयमयुक्षमहि किल्बिषेण यं वानयोर्दममधीश भवान् विधत्ते वृत्तिं नु वा तदनुमन्महि निर्व्यलीकम् अस्मासु वाय उचितो ध्रियतां सदण्डो येनागसो वयमयुङ्गक्ष्महि किल्बिषेण यं वानयोर्दममधीश भवान् विधत्ते वृत्तिं नु वा तदनुमन्महि निर्व्यलीकम् अस्मासु वाय उचितो ध्रियतां सदण्डो येनागसो वयमयुङ्गक्ष्महि किल्बिषेण यं वानयोर्दममधीश भवान् विधत्ते वृत्तिं नु वा तदनुमन्महि निर्व्यलीकम् अस्मासु वाय उचितो ध्रियतां सदण्डो येनागसो वयमयुक्ष्महि किल्बिषेण वैष्णवीज यं वानयोर्दममधीश भवान् विधत्ते वृत्तिं नु वा तदनुमन्महि निर्व्यलीकम् अस्मासु वाय उचितो ध्रियतां सदण्डो येनागसो वयमयुङ्गक्ष्महि किल्बिषेण यम which va or anayoho of both of them damam punishment adhisha O Lord bhavan your lordship vidhatte awards vrittim better existence nu certainly va or tat that anumanamahi we accept nirvyalikam without duplicity asmasu to us va or yah whichever uchitah is proper dhariyatam may be awarded sa that dandaha punishment ye who anagasau sinless vayam we anushmahi allotted kilbishena with a curse. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. O Lord, whatever punishment you wish to award to these two innocent persons, or also to us, we shall accept without duplicity. We understand that we have cursed two faultless persons. Purport. The sages, the four Kumaras, now reject their cursing of the two doorkeepers, Jaya and Vijaya, because they are now conscious that persons who engage in the service of the Lord cannot be at fault at any stage. It is said that anyone who has implicit faith in the service of the Lord, or who actually engages in transcendental loving service, has all good qualities of the demigods. Therefore, a devotee cannot be at fault. If sometimes it is found that he is in error by accident or by some temporary arrangement, that should not be taken very seriously. The cursing of Jay and Vijay is here repented. Now the Kumaras are thinking in terms of their position in the modes of passion and ignorance, and they are prepared to accept any kind of punishment from the Lord. In general, when dealing with devotees, we should not try to find faults. In Bhagavad Gita, also it is confirmed that the devotee who faithfully serves the Supreme Lord, even if found to commit a gross mistake, should be considered a sadhu or a saintly person. Due to former habits, he may commit some wrong, but because he is engaged in service of the Lord, that wrong should not be taken very seriously. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Stam Sajivam Sadhvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namaum Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindubhye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. I seek blessings of all devotees so that I can speak something for glorifying Lord, for all of your pleasure and for my purification. So in this beautiful chapter, we saw that, the demigods were asking Brahma why there is darkness, and Brahmaji started, describing the story of how four Kumaras, they went to see Lord Vishnu, and on their way they were stopped by Jaya and Vijay, the two doorkeepers, and because of that they cursed them, and immediately Lord Vishnu appeared on the scene he pacified them. We saw a couple of verses last, how beautifully Lord not only pacifies, glorifies them, but it comes to a point now, these four Kumaras, they realize that what they have done is mistake and they are asking for forgiveness. So this would be last verse which they would be speaking, and then they would depart. So in this today's verse, they are saying, "O Lord, whatever punishment you wish to award to these two innocent persons, or also to us, we shall accept without duplicity. We understand that we have cursed two faultless persons." So the four Kumaras, they realized that their cursing was actually not required. So they mentioned two times. They said, award these two innocent persons. So first again they mentioned they are innocent, and again they say, we have cursed these two faultless persons. Emphasizing again, right? And instead they are saying, you can curse us if you feel you can punish us. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada beautifully is mentioning that how when somebody is engaged in the service of Lord, they cannot be at fault at any stage. It's a pretty interesting statement. And again down the line he mentions that in general, when dealing with devotees, we should not try to find faults. So today we'll discuss a couple of examples that how finding faults lead to disaster, irrespective of who is finding fault, and then how in our day-to-day life, how we can deal with this, fault-finding tendency. So Madhavendra Puri was considered the root of the tree of love of God. He had many disciples, out of which were Ishwara Puri and Ramachandra Puri. They were present when he was leaving the body. That time Madhavendra Puri in separation, he was telling, where is Lord, where is Krishna, where is Radha. This Ramachandra Puri, not understanding his mood of separation, he said, if you feel you have wasted your life, and you have not achieved Radha Krishna, think of impersonal Brahman. And then, Madhavendra Puri becomes really upset. He said, just get lost from my, face. And this Ramachandra Puri, because he makes this offense to his spiritual master, he becomes a habitual fault finder. What he used to call, he went to Jagannath Puri, he used to call devotees for prasadam. He used to force them, please eat more, and because he was god brother of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's spiritual master, everybody had to follow, sometimes devotees, they lovingly ask this. So they used to eat, and after eating, they used to say, ha 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 ha, look at these guys, these are eating so much, So, it's like catch-20 situation. You eat a problem, don't eat a problem, And then one day he went to see Lord Chaitanya in Gambhira, and he saw a line of ants. And he said, see, you see all of these ants? Just see, Lord Chaitanya must be eating a lot of sweets in hiding. And that's why these ants are coming. Just see, so much, once we get this into fault finding, we can go to any extent and even find fault in the Supreme Lord himself. And eventually, he fell down, and then he had to suffer his, reactions. So this was a very gross example, right? But it's not that only the, gross fault finders are punished. We'll go a little more subtle. When Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, Mother Sachi, she was really disturbed. And she said, actually Advaita, Acharya, because of him, my sons have taken sannyas. He is not Advaita, he is Dvaita, he has a duality. That she thought in her mind, And then, of course, later Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes sannyas, and he was diverted to Ramkeli, Shantipur, where Advaita Acharya was staying, and his house, everybody is, gathers, and even Sachimata gathers, and Lord Chaitanya gives everybody Krishna Prem, and he says, I will not give you Sachimata Krishna Prem because you have offended Advaita Acharya. Now, who is Sachimata? Lord Chaitanya's mother. And Lord is telling, I will not give you Krishna Prem because you found fault in Advaita Acharya. Now, hearing this, Advaita Acharya faints, and then immediately Sachimata goes, takes dust from his lotus feet, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, you are relieved. So this is second example that how finding fault, even at a mental stage, had its consequences. We'll go a little more deeper. Even if person doesn't commit fault, but other person pursues it that, he's finding fault with me, that's also a problem. Once Rupa Goswami, he was sitting in meditation, remembering pastimes of Lord, and in pastimes something happened. He was smiling, kind of, closing his eyes and, kind of smiling, giggling. At that point, there was another Vaishnava who had some bodily deformities, used to walk a little like limping. He passed by, and he saw Rupa Goswami laughing. Now this Vaishnava thought that he is laughing on me. He felt disheartened, he left. And Rupa Goswami's meditation broke. He's again trying to think of pastime, nothing happening. He went to his, big brother, Sanatana Goswami, and he said, hey, I don't know what happened, suddenly, I could not concentrate on Lord's pastimes. So Sanatana Goswami said, do one thing, call all Vaishnavas for prasadam from Vrindavan. So he does it. So everyone comes except this limping Vaishnava, Then Sanatana Goswami says, who has not come, go to him and beg forgiveness. So Rupa Goswami goes and, he clarifies, actually, this is what had happened, and he begs forgiveness. And even that other devotee was, kind of, he was also pacified. He also felt bad. Things got sorted. So this is an example wherein he did not do anything. He was in his own world. But just because of his action, it happened to coincide with this devotee coming, and he got offended. He thought that he's finding fault with me. So we saw gradations, right? One outrightly, finding fault, another in mind, third, not in mind also, but just others are perceiving it to be as a fault. But all cases, we saw there were repercussions. Now just think for a moment, take a deep breath, and at least I can say for myself also, how many times we were quite, outspoken about faults of others. It's pretty serious, right? And who are these fellows who are getting reactions? Disciple of a pure devotee, and then Lord's mother, our Acharya, we are called Rupanugas. So if, of course, there is something for us. If they are not spared, what will happen to us? In Hindi there is saying, Kis jhad ki muli, who are we? Tom, Dick and Harry, So we have to be very, very, very careful about this tendency about fault finding. Very easy to say, but then, we stay with devotees, and sometimes some devotees are really purifying, And question comes that, when we see something outright, somebody is really gross, somebody is blasting someone for no good reason, or, all of us, we can think of example wherein we could clearly see, black and white. It's not even gray, somebody has this, tendency to, find faults or offend. What to do with that? So the first thing is to check, are we authorized to correct that person? Do we have that adhikar? Or are we doing, self appointed, policing, moral policing? So that is the first check. If it is not, then yeah, we can just stop it there and there itself. Like even see, I think it was Socrates or Aristotle. Somebody comes and he says, "Oh, I want to tell you something about this person." He said, "Wait, He said, "Is it good?" He said, "No." He said, "Is it beneficial?" He said, "No." "Is it anywhere relevant to, me?" He said, "No." He said, "Then stop. Don't tell me." So same way, while dealing with devotees, many times when we come across some situations, we can ask ourselves this, do I have adhikar? So am I, after knowing this, what am I going to do? And if not, then just stop it there itself. Why to get into it, right? So, and even if suppose we have adhikar of correcting it, we need to be very careful, because it should not happen that because of correcting that devotee, he goes away from Krishna consciousness. Again, that is a problem. So, especially that's why we see there are many times, if somebody is not careful and he is in charge of handling, devotees, it leads to spiritual casualty. It is said that handling machine very easy. Laptop, something breaks, restart it, or go fix it to shop. Handling people, difficult. They have human resource. They talk about now, emotional intelligence and depositing in emotional bank account. All these, even corporates, they talk about that. It's difficult. They know handling people is difficult. Handling devotees, most difficult. Why? We are dealing with someone who is very dear to Lord, the Supreme Lord. Jay and Vijay, when they just stopped him, what did Lord say? You can chop off my arms. In this chapter only, right? So, but don't, forgive them, don't take it too seriously. So it is said, when we are walking in suppose hot summer day, and suppose we don't have shoes, what will hurt more? Will it hurt more on head or will it hurt more on leg? Leg, right? So devotees, they're all behind Lord's lotus feet. Lord also says, right? I get the power, because the devotees, they hanker for my lotus feet. Same chapter, like a couple of verses before. So devotees are there, and if we do some mischief with them, we are hurting Lord's lotus feet where it hurts the more. And there are innumerable pastimes where you mess with a devotee, and Lord has taken care. Like Gopal Chapal, right? He was outspoken, deriding Shiva's Thakur. What happened? He got a leprosy. To such an extent that even the normal people rejected him. And it was only Lord who came to Kulinagram later after taking sannyas, long after that. He delivered everybody except this Gopal Chapal. And when he said, "Oh Lord, you are delivering everyone, please," he said, "Go and beg forgiveness from Shiva's Thakur." Ambrish Maharaj, Durvasa Muni, classic example. Lord said, "I cannot do that. Sudarshan, you figure it out. Go back to material world, go back to Ambrish Maharaj and beg forgiveness." See, generally Krishna says, "Yadgatvana nivartante tadhamam param." Durvasa Muni went to spiritual world, Vaikuntha, but he had to come back, because he offended devotee. So, this fault finding is very, or Vaishnava Aparadha is very, very detrimental for our spiritual life. So, we have to, if we really have to find faults, we can do it with ourselves. Oh, I have this fault, I have that fault. We can try to find many. Once Duryodhana and Yudhishthir Maharaj, they were asked, Duryodhana was asked that go and check, who is better than you. And Yudhishthir was asked that go and check who is, lesser than you or worse than you. Duryodhana came and he said, nobody is better than me, Everybody has some faults. Only I am the one, who doesn't have fault. He was like a false finding, mentality personified guy. And Yudhishthir Maharaj, on the other hand, came and said, I am the worst. Nobody is worse than me. Everybody has good qualities. Right? So, in our day-to-day life, even if, Prabhupada says that in this purport, even if we see there is some discrepancy in some devotee's behavior, we can consider this as an accident. Because in span of, eternity, this human life is just a drop. And even in that drop, that fellow is trying to reform. If because of his bad habits something happens, then we can just, just leave it, let it go, for, and, let it rectify, himself. Now those devotees who are doing managerial service, for them it is tricky because they need to have a balance. They need to correct them as well as protect their own spiritual life, right? We have many great examples here actually. So many devotees, Srila Prabhupada disciples, they have been serving here for so many years. That itself is proof that they could handle it nicely. Like wherever correction was needed, they did. But at the same time, it was out of genuine concern and feeling to rectify. It is like, doctor giving medicine to patient. So in case, we happen to be in a situation wherein we need to tell someone about their shortcomings, we have to really sincerely pray and make sure that we are not doing out of ego or we are not deriving any pleasure, subtle pleasure, correcting someone. Rather, it should be just, yes, you are better than me, but for some reason you are in this situation. If you could kindly correct, you would be able to serve Lord more. So if we are in that particular consciousness, then even if we had to deal with, these tendencies, the end would be beneficial for, everyone. So here, the four Kumaras, though they were elders, so knowledgeable, after hearing Lord's reply, they started thinking we cursed, that was wrong. They realized, not started thinking, they realized. And in this verse they are saying that, yes Lord, what we told them is, what punishment we awarded to these innocent persons, that is our fault. And they were ready to take punishment on themselves. They are saying, you can punish me, you can punish us, whatever you want. And then again reiterate that these were the faultless people. So many times we also get some purification even if we are not at fault. And then mind says, why I did all wrong, correct, but somehow, I'm dragged into this, why Krishna is doing that to me. So you can just say, okay, this is some purification has to happen, so let it be, and just leave it at that actually. And when we do that, then only we can progress. So and then towards the end, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that even if somebody is found to commit gross mistake, should be considered a sadhu or a saintly person. That famous verse, Apichets Duracharo, right? But only thing, we should apply this verse for others, not for ourselves. We should not say, I'll do some gross mistake and say, no, Apichets Duracharo. No, don't consider me fallen. I am sadhu only. See, this is, reference. No. And that's for others. That's for others. And then, is a nice statement. He said, if we appreciate others' service for Krishna, Krishna takes that appreciation more seriously than the other devotees' good service. Somebody, our book distributions, right? We were hearing today morning, amazing scores. yeah, we should have desire, we should go and do big distribution, but if we are not able to do, at least if we appreciate, wow, these devotees are so sincere, they have done such amazing distribution, book distribution. Krishna appreciates that more, and we make spiritual advancement just by appreciating that. And it works other way also. If we criticize someone for their faults, Krishna takes that more seriously than that wrong act itself. So if by committing some offense, if somebody is going down this way, but if we are rejoicing in he committing those mistakes, we will go down double. So it's very subtle science in bhakti. By appreciating and by glorifying the devotees' good deeds, we make spiritual advancement. And by criticizing, finding faults, we make double downfall. So yes, of course, wherever possible, we should try to do those service ourselves. But if not, why not? Why not appreciate? So when we have this positive encouragement and appreciation, even with our dealings in our relationship, then when the time comes of revealing some faulty behavior, the other person will take it genuinely, that yes, he's my well-wisher and he want to rectify. So always, at least for me, I take this lesson is always try to appreciate what devotees are doing, because how many people are in LA? Couple of millions. How many are sitting here? How many are trying to do service? In that, if somebody does some mistake, that's okay. He'll rectify. He'll get rectified today or tomorrow. So we should make sure that by our behavior, I take it away that we should not push away anybody from Krishna consciousness or remove them from services. Of course, yeah, there are some services wherein, if somebody does some mistake, they cannot be at managerial position. That's required, but we can ask them to wash pots. That's perfectly fine. Why to take out their chance to, purify? Let them wash pots, get purified. Okay. So, to summarize, we saw that Jaya and Vijay, after understanding, after interacting with Lord, they understood actually they found fault in the faultless person and they were repentant. And they asked themselves that, oh Lord, give us punishment if required. And Prabhupada, as he mentioned in the purport, that fault finding is very detrimental for our spiritual advancement. We saw a couple of examples, Ramchandra Puri, Sachimata, wherein, even if the offense was verbal or in mind, or even if offense was perceived like Rupa Goswami, still there was a reaction. So how to save from these fault finding tendencies? Always see good in others and try to see fault in ourselves. And if we have service, like if we are at a managerial position wherein we need to do this, we don't have to take pleasure in doing it. Rather, we should do it as a humble service for them, so that they rectify and they continue their service. So on this occasion, I also would like to beg forgiveness if by mistake I had found any faults, and I seek blessings that I should not I should be saved from this fault finding tendency. So with this, we would like to stop here. Any questions, comments? Yes, bro. One question. Yes, bro.
Yeah, that pastime about Rupa Goswami, that person thought he was being offended. Where is that from?
I think it's, is it? I'll find the source, bro. But this is authentic pastime. I'll tell. I'm not sure if it is from Bhakti Rasamrut Sindhu or which book. I'll find and I'll let you know, bro. Yeah. Achita, bro, by any chance you remember where it is from?
No, I heard the past. I don't know exactly
where it's from. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Sure. I'll find, bro, and I'll tell you. Thank you. Yes, bro, you have a question? Yeah. Yeah.
I just try to understand why Rupa Goswami, who is topmost pure devotee coming from spiritual world, why he has problem, why he's, devotee pass by and he was thinking, oh, he's laughing to me. But so he's completely innocent. Rupa Goswami is completely innocent. So why he has problem? Why this Lila just go away from his, his top-notch pure devotee?
So see, actually, many times, like, this, one thing is there that the scriptures, they always tell extreme examples in either way to teach us, that how much careful we should be. So the point to learn is that we should be careful not to offend anybody, even accidentally. Okay? That is the teaching we get. Now that particular devotee who got offended, we don't know, why it happened. It's like we cannot speculate. But one thing for sure is that these pastimes are recorded so that we get the lesson from that. Okay? Yeah, I think that's what I could say. Anybody wants to add anything, Prabhuji? Yes, Prabhu, you want to ask questions? Yeah.
I don't know if my friend Prem Sankirtan understood the how do you say, the before that, why did he commit? He didn't commit anything. In his ecstasy, he didn't do any fault, Srila Rupa Goswami. In his ecstasy of being totally absorbed in Krishna's pastimes, he was laughing at something that supposedly, was happening between the gopis and Krishna. So then, when that person came, then he started laughing of his own ecstasy, of what was going on internally. But then the person coming, he took it wrongly. He thought, oh, he's laughing at me.
Yeah.
And that was, just not putting my own, how do you say, understanding. But he was, how do you say that word? Assumption. He was taking the wrong assumption.
Right. Yeah,
He himself, actually, if you want to say who committed the offense, actually you can say it was the handicapped man.
Right.
He's the one who committed the offense. Because he was assuming, oh, he's laughing at me.
Yeah.
He was not.
Right. Yes, bro. I want to add. Ajit, bro.
As far as I heard, that wasn't the question that Prema had. Prema's question was, why was Rupa Goswami affected by that person's misunderstanding? In other words, his meditation broke. Why? He's a pure devotee. He should just go on with his pure pastimes and not be affected by what's going on externally. But again, it's a lesson to be learned, just like we learned from Lord Chaitanya in Shiva Sangam. When that brahmachari snuck in, Lord Chaitanya said the mood has changed. They could have just gone on dancing and chanting as normal, but to show that lesson, he said the mood has changed. There's somebody here who doesn't belong here.
Yeah.
So the pure devotees and the Lord himself show that sensitivity sometimes to inform us.
Yeah.
So Rupa Goswami was showing how sensitive pure devotees can be. And Prabhupada himself showed it on many occasions, how sensitive a pure devotee can be.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
That famous pastime in, I think it was Toronto or somewhere in Canada, I think it was Toronto, where this Bengali guy came for darshan and he was practically insulting Prabhupada, and the devotees were ready to throttle him. So when he finally left, they were so happy, and Prabhupada asked, did anybody get his contact information? And he said, what? Prabhupada, he was insulting you. Why would we get his contact? Prabhupada said, no, perhaps in the previous life, I did something to him. So pure devotees are like that. They're not on the same plane that we're at. They're not seeing things the way we see them. We're happy if somebody's insulting us. We're happy to at least get rid of them. What to speak of, maybe grab them by the neck. But a pure devotee is not thinking like that.
Yeah.
He's seeing a bigger picture. So Rupa Goswami's meditation was affected by this person being upset, even though he was faultless. Just by the person being upset, wrongly upset, he felt it. And it affected his meditation. He couldn't get back into his meditation. That's how sensitive pure devotees are.
Yeah. Thank you. And actually, I can tell, one devotee was sharing, that Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu, for adding. There is that famous dialogue, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes to meet Haridas Thakur and he says, what is the news, right? And Haridas Thakur says, oh Lord, my body is well, but my mind is not correct because I could not finish my rounds, right? So one devotee, one brahmachari, he read that pastime and he was in that ecstasy. So whoever used to go, he used to say, so what is the news, and then he used to tell that pastime, So what happened, he came across one fellow and then he did the same thing. He said, what's the news? And something had happened with this devotee, the other person, that there were some rumors going around because he did something wrong. So he thought that he's talking about me only, what's the news, So, same kind of thing. So, yeah, they're like, got misunderstood. Yeah, but yeah. Thank you, Prabhu, for adding. Yeah, last question, Mother. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, this point is always very confusing, how Rupa Goswami could get reaction when he was completely innocent, whereas the man who was just obviously paranoid in some way and self-conscious, he was thinking that that Rupa Goswami, who's in a completely other world, is laughing at him, and then so it just kind of awoke an old question up again. That's like, what's the Siddhanta on, like, if somebody who's a devotee is behaving in a way that causes, in a way that's not how we're supposed to behave, and that causes other people to, in their mind, criticize that person or doubt that person or have some loss of faith, how does that person who's not behaving as they should be, is there some kind of reaction for that?
Okay. Yeah, fortunately in Kali Yuga, if something happens, if we think at mind level something, we won't get reaction. But the problem is, if we keep doing that, then that becomes, verbal. So, watch your thoughts because they become words, watch your words because they become action, watch your action because it becomes habit.
But my question's not that.
Yeah, so what I understood is that is some other devotee is behaving wrongly, and by seeing that we feel disturbed in our mind. So being disturbed in our mind or criticizing within mind, will that give us any reaction? Right? That is the question, right?
No, the question was, is there not, I mean, it seems like universal law is fair, but how can the person who's just seeing a fault, if it's a correct fault, be at fault, whereas the person who's performing the fault seemingly haven't read anything to say that they would get some reaction for that. So I'm just wondering about that, if you've read something that clarifies this point.
Okay, let me repeat question. So suppose person A, devotee A, does some faulty behavior, devotee B, by seeing it, he is getting disturbed, but then how devotee B is at fault seeing his fault? Is that so?
No, how the devotee who's making the fault is getting, because he's causing somebody to
he'll get his purification part, he'll get his reactions. Mm-hmm. It's not that he will not get. It's only time. In Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's times, reaction used to be immediate. Our times, it will come delayed. But it will come. Unless he rectifies, unless he really repents, regrets, and rectifies, he'll get reaction. But if he does that, then Lord will give a little bit less. That's why we see that if somebody has a fault-finding tendency, they'll go away from Krishna consciousness, but it won't happen immediately. You'll see there is a pattern. They do it with one devotee, two devotee, three devotee, and over a time of say 1 year, they're out. But if they rectify, then yes, they'll go, clarify the situation, beg forgiveness, then they are reinstated. So yes, it's not that nobody is spared of getting reactions. We have to, if we have done something wrong, it will come. And especially with the devotees, it will come. But only thing is, if we do it unknowingly, sincerely repent. There is one Vaishnava song, this is question like, what if, I don't know if I have offended somebody. This is Vrindavana Vasiyata Vaishnaveragan Prathama Vandana Karu Sabara Charan Nilachala Vasiyata Mahaprabhuragan Bhumite Padiya Vandu Sabara Charan Je deshe bese Gaurange Ragan Urdhva Bahu Kari Vandu Sabara Charan. You know this song, who has written this song? Devaki Nandan Das. And you know who was this Devaki Nandan Das? He was Gopal Chappal. So this guy had burned himself badly, and if you read this song, he's just offering obeisances right, left, center to everyone. So once I had asked this to Raisham Prabhu, he said that if we don't know, sincerely sing this song and sincerely offer your respects to others. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very merciful. He'll take care. We just have to. Yes, from everyone. Future also, he says, So, we can do that if we don't know, if we have offended someone. But does that answer your question? But reactions will come. What is translation of this song? Actually, 1 minute, let me see. We are already out of time. I'll tell you, it's if you go to vaishnavsongs.com, vaishnavsongs.iskondesirety.com, search for Vrindavana Vasiyata, you will find the song plus translation. It's a very beautiful song. You can sing that. Okay. Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai Nitaya Gaur Premanande Hari Hari.